first meeting of the new year 2024 to order, please.
Martin Howe.
Present.
Will Hyman.
Here.
Mark Jackson.
Here.
Wayne Worth.
Here.
Hattie Wright. Here. Vice Mayor Riffle. Mayor Malpachev.
Here.
This evening we have our prayer and pledge by Councilmember Hyman.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we pray that you bless this meeting and everyone present. We ask that your light shines on our city this new year and that you keep us safe in this meeting and beyond. We pray that you will guide us in this meeting so that the results can be seen days, months, and even years after today. We pray that we find your direction to help guide your city to prosperity and peace for all the citizens of Clarksburg to see and believe for themselves. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to move to item 4, presentation by Attorney Rusty Webb.
Thank you, Madam Clerk, Mayor, members of City Council. 6 years ago, this body appointed me as your attorney in the litigation against the opioid defendants. While the Southern West Virginia was getting most of the attention as it related to the opioid epidemic, there was one pocket in Northern West Virginia that stood out on the maps that I saw. And unfortunately, that was this area. And after 6 years of litigation and fighting these opioid defendants, both distributors, pharmacies, manufacturers, I have tonight to give you your first check of 13. The reason you're going to receive 13 checks is because the defendants, each of the defendants have a different payout period, and some last up to 25 years. Some are front-loaded, some are back-loaded. I'm going to get Ms. Fell and the mayor and any of you who, of course, want it, that distribution list. In the first 2 years, the first 3 years, attorney's fees are taken off the top, which, by the way, were far less attorney's fees than have ever been awarded in anything like this. Usually it's in the area of 30–40%. In this case, it was 15% or less. So the city governments did well by their council and the state Supreme Court by its panel that it appointed to oversee these cases, reduced the attorney's fee substantially so that your net is going to be much higher. Before I present the check to you, Mayor, I want to tell you that I'm not unfamiliar with Clarksburg, and that as early as 1979, I have to share this with you, our little band in Madison and Boone County, West Virginia, was invited to go to WVU for Band Day, and our assistant band director's name was Jude Gore, and we stayed in the Gore Hotel here in 1979, and that was my first experience with Clarksburg. It was about the biggest city I'd been in, being from Little Madison and Boone County. So I have a long history with the city of Clarksburg, and I'm proud to represent you in these cases. And tonight I'm proud to give you, Mayor, this large, when I say I bring a big check, I bring a big check. Mayor, your first check is $773,356.54 to be used in the abatement of this tragic opioid epidemic that you've had to endure, and there will be 13 more checks after this. Thank you. And he has the real check in his pocket. Mayor, if you have a second, our state auditor came up tonight And he's wanting to assist in you and all the cities in helping you. You know that those sheets of paper he wants to help you summarize that so you can make it easier for when you spend it.
Well, you know, if I may, I'd like to have all of council up here because a lot of these council members were on when we did this. And if everybody would come up so we can get a picture. Ms. Fell, you also, please.
And Ms. Wright, she's been with me from the beginning. We went 6 years on this bus.
Come on, guys, ladies. This is huge for the city of Clarksburg. Got that. Y'all need us closer together.
Closer together.
It would be nicer if we tightened up a little bit.
All right.
Smile. You just got a bunch of money. Thank you.
Thank you. Wonderful. This is a great New Year start for the new year.
It is.
It's great. Yes, sir.
Well, let's see. I'm not doing this every year, by the way. I'm just going to send it.
I heard JB was buying dinner tonight, so.
Depends on where we're going.
And as a token of my appreciation, I have for each of you a gift, which under the rules is less than $25 and is nominal. Rules of ethics.
Thank you very much.
As a thank you for allowing me to represent you.
Thank you, Kylie.
Yeah, what a great way to start the new year, folks. Ms. Fell, you have anything you'd like to say?
Yes, I want to thank you as well for all your work for the city and coming out here to present the first check of 14. As a council, we are compiling different ideas and plans of how to use this money to benefit those who need it most and help with the recovery and programs going forward. We'll be discussing that as a council in the near future. And of course, the public will be able to listen to those discussions. I also encourage any member of the public, if you have an idea or a suggestion on where you think these funds might be best used to help in recovery or help our city recover, you can send those in to myself or the city clerk or to any member of council. We will gladly take those and discuss those. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
JD?
Rusty, I'll see you soon, sir. So these are for you guys, and I appreciate your guys' indulgence for a minute. Rusty left his check. It doesn't have any numbers on it, so I don't know if it actually spends. But what we have done in partnership with the Attorney General's office is created sort of a breakdown of the MOU. So the way that this money is spent is controlled at most by the MOU that was signed when the West Virginia First Foundation was created. And so the documents you have in front of you, and I think I have enough. If not, I'm more than happy to send you more, and I think they're on the website. But they are sort of a layman's breakdown of the possible uses for this money, the ways in which it can be used legally. And it's pretty broad. But I think it's important from a personal standpoint, this is the first one of these that I've done too. And it's certainly nice to do it in my hometown with people that have actually kind of long suffered, right? I mean, it's time for Clarksburg to be what it's supposed to be. And I think everybody in this room and everybody in front of me is committed to making sure that happens. And these amounts of money can go a long way to making sure that that happens. And so what you see is sort of our breakdown from the auditor's office standpoint about how this money should be spent, how it should be accounted for. One of the important things you'll see is that we've created a tracking system. It's a simple Excel spreadsheet that is designed for city managers and city treasurers that breaks down the allowable expenses by the ways that we have sort of delineated them, and it seamlessly goes directly into your checkbook site. So once you start tracking it, because the foundation's probably going to want to see what you've done, it gives you the ability to track it very easily, but it also gives the ability to make it available to the public in ways that is going to be pretty unique in the marketplace of our country as these funds are being distributed everywhere. What I need you guys to know is that we are here to make sure that you know how to use it, that the single thing we don't want is paralysis by analysis, right? These monies need to get into the community to do things. And so when you have ideas, if they seem maybe like they might work, they might not work, please call us so that we can make sure that you can make swift decisions and get this money to use as quickly as humanly possible. We're going to be doing these presentations sort of all around the state, but I'm very, very hopeful that we are going to have a super easy way for our local governments to communicate with my office. I think we've set those relationships up over the last couple years in general. But this is for everybody, council, mayor, city manager, the public, anybody who has a question about how these funds can and should be used. We would very much like it if you would reach out to us. And the documents that you have in your hands, I believe, are on our website. If not, they'll be on there tomorrow. And we're just excited to work with you guys because this only works if everybody's pulling the rope the same way, right? So Clarksburg has to pull it the same way, Bridgeport's pulling it the same way, Harrison County's pulling it the same way, Fairmont's pulling it the same way, Marion County is pulling it. And what we hope is that you guys will start to build coalitions and use this money in ways that are as regionally useful as they are useful just in our cities and counties too. So anything we can do to help you do that, please reach out to us and let us know. We are here as a resource, not as a barrier. And we are committed to making sure that you guys have everything you need. So if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. If not, I'm just thankful for the time for you guys letting me be here about 10 blocks from where I'm from.
Yep.
It's
Wayne, you
awful
have a
nice.
question, sir?
Yes,
Yes.
KB, I appreciate you coming
Sure.
and doing this. Now, I've read the MOU pretty extensively.
You're the one that read it, huh?
Pretty much, yeah. But I have two questions.
Yes.
The first question is, can, in one of the sections, I guess it's, for approved uses, Schedule B, Section C, subsection 15, it says to engage and support nonprofits and the faith-based community in a system of support and outreach for treatment. That's pretty broad.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, can municipalities throughout the state with their funding be able to help allocate funding to some of the nonprofits who are out there doing that work? Is that an appropriate use?
The way that I read the MOU, the answer is yes.
Okay.
I mean, the devil is always in the details on these things, obviously, right? But I think the overarching goal, and it's a lot like the ARP funding, right? Like, if you're doing the right thing, you'll know.
Right.
It's pretty easy to be able to say, we are using this money and it's going to help either solve the problem that exists now or fix a problem that was created in the past. And it's pretty binary, right? But I mean, that is, I think, one of the key uses that it is supposed to be used for.
Okay. And I just have one more question.
Yeah.
And you may be able to answer this or not. When will the West Virginia First Foundation start taking RFPs?
I think the answer to that question is going to be once we have an executive director.
Okay.
And I think that will be very soon. The foundation is working on its bylaws, it's working on the ways that its meetings are going to run. And I would say that once there's an executive director, there's going to be an enormous amount of outreach from the foundation to the cities and counties, because my guess is they're going to want to help also assist in building coalitions to leverage this money in ways that, $1 million might not be able to get you there, but if 3 people have $1 million, you can do a whole lot more. And the foundation's sort of goal is going to be managing their own funding, but I think making sure that, like me, they're assisting our local governments in accomplishing the mission of these funds.
And the foundation too will also be accepting RFPs from nonprofit and agencies that want to apply for some of this funding.
I think that's correct. And if I had to guess, and I don't know this for a fact, I'm not on the board, but they'll probably have a database of available contractors and people who are in the industry who you can work with to accomplish the things that you're looking to do.
Fantastic.
And I don't know if they'll be approved, but my guess is they'll have a list of people that they've worked with or have worked with DHHR or who have worked with the state and are reputable in those ways.
Thanks.
Anything else?
Yes, sir.
Just out of curiosity, now, I know that this is going to be focused a lot on recovery and prevention, so that we don't run back into the same problems and that so we can build back up from where we've been. Can these funds be used to, put extra dollars into training and equipment for our first responders?
I can't imagine that it wouldn't be. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's really two key objectives. One is to support the people that are fighting it on the ground now, but I think the other objective is equally as important, if not more, and that's making sure we're not having this conversation again in 30 years. That we can do so much to rebuild ourselves, but if we have the exact same problem in 20 years, we're going to have the exact same expense, right? And so I think that you hit the nail on the head, that there's sort of a dual purpose here. If you look at I think it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 70% of volunteer firefighters' calls are essentially drug overdose related. People sign up for these things to go fight fires, and really what they end up doing is taking people to the hospital. And, it's tough. It's a tough thing for people to see every single day. Councilman Hyman, did you have a question as well?
I did not. Mark
Okay.
just looked at me awkwardly.
Did he steal your thunder?
No, he did not. Like I said,
Okay,
he just looked
all right.
over and caught me by surprise too.
Mr. State Auditor? Thank you
Mayor,
very
thank you
much.
so much, and I hope everyone had a wonderful Christmas and a Happy New Year. And again, you guys have our number. You can call me directly if you need, but there's a whole team of people in my office who are ready to help you, and that's what we're going to do.
Thank you, sir.
Back to petitions, communications, and
And
public.
reading at McDonald's online.
Okay, I'll be there.
Chris Lane wishes to address the council concerning non-response to multiple FOIA requests.
Good New Year, everybody. So, I guess the big question that I have here tonight is, many months ago, like close to about 5-6 months ago, I submitted multiple FOIA requests. I received an email in September stating that the FOIA responses would be returned to me by September 30th. To date, I've not seen any FOIA responses to any of those FOIAs. I know, Mr. Mayor, we had a conversation around Thanksgiving where you had called me, and I'd actually mentioned to you on that phone call that I had not received the responses from the FOIAs. I understand it was close to the holidays then, and right after Thanksgiving, it seems like Christmas probably starts the day before Thanksgiving, really. So I know it's been through the holiday season, but now that we got the holidays behind us, I'd appreciate a response to
We'll
those
have, we'll
FOIAs.
have a response for you, Mr. Lane, by the end of next week. How's that?
That would be perfect. To hear the two speakers there before me was, bittersweet, I guess. It's good to see that Clarksburg is going to have some funding to be able to help support the area, help things that's going on, be able to help improve, some of the damage that was done. It's, I guess looking back, it's sad and disappointing that probably everybody in this room and everybody that we know in this room most likely knows somebody that's been affected by the opioid crisis and the impact that's had on the nation, the country, the state, the town. It's something that's been bigger than any pandemic or any recession, and good to see that that there's been actions, there's been strides, and the city took action to help produce something positive out of it. I was happy to see, state auditor's office is involved. I do have questions, do have concerns, about the ARPA funding, about the CARES funding, and how the city allocated it. I hope no issues, no discrepancies with that, but I really truly hope that with this series of funding the city receives, that all i's are dotted and t's are crossed and everything's done appropriately. You know, and it sounds like the auditor's office is gonna have a good, close eye on it. Talked about a portal for public viewing, which should be good, but would hope that it doesn't get misused or misappropriated.
Well, I can tell you, there's dedicated places this money can go. It can't go for equipment, it can't go for street signs, it can't go for anything like, it's all dedicated to drug abuse and substance abuse, so.
It's good.
Yep.
That's all I got for tonight. Everyone have a happy New Year.
Thank you. Mr. Lane?
City Manager's report.
Thank you. So under city parks, the indoor mini golf facility has been cleaned and painted and prepped for spring. Dump area improvements have been made behind the amphitheater. Routine maintenance trips for trash pickup have been done by staff. And they're replacing all park receptacles with new ones in the city color of blue. The indoor facility booking continues into March. The water tank was replaced last month. It had a leak. And the indoor facility is waiting on a light replacement and 2 projects from Ventura Brothers. 2 new playgrounds have been purchased and delivery is expected for April with assembly to follow.
Can I ask a quick, is there any other new playgrounds that have been purchased before those 2? 'Cause I was told Broad Oaks, Harris Street Park was supposed to be one of the new ones last year. It was supposed to be one of the newest ones, the next one that was to be installed.
You're correct.
Okay.
The project.
1 second, sorry, Doug, could you come up to the mic? Sorry.
So yes, you're correct on that. The projects are being, the holdup is just having a contractor come out and do it. We have a couple quotes out there right now looking into those. We do have all the inventory in, waiting for it to happen. As soon as those come in, I'm expecting to get some responses here since the holidays and all that, you know how it goes. But anyway, we should have an answer here in the next couple of weeks on when we're going to be able to get this contracted. But you're exactly right on the 2 parks are going to be on the agenda for that. And we have a couple ideas for what the 2 parks that just got the 2 playgrounds that just got purchased or got approved by the Board of Parks Commissioners. And we should have all this locked in here by the next meeting. Good?
Under code enforcement, there's been 13 building permits with a total job cost just over $180,000. Fees collected is just over $2,400. There's been no citations and no condemnations. There's been 7 structures boarded up and secured. There's been a number of residential and commercial inspections. There's been 8 calls referred from animal control. The city engineer is working on a number of projects, including the Liberty Slip, the Brown Street Slip, the Winding Way Slip. Other code enforcement items. So all vacant condemned properties have been checked. There's been 14 new complaints and 22 follow-up inspections, and the number other of work orders have been happening in that department. Under finance, the B&O tax is just under $125,000, $1,800 in business licenses. There's a number of citations, permits, and tickets. Fire service fees are just over $76,000, and demolition was just over $15,000. The Clarksburg Fire Department has responded to 267 alarms during the month of December, which resulted in $35,000 fire loss. A breakdown is below of the statistics. And the fire department's reminder is smoke detectors save lives, learn not to burn. Patrolman Jaron Morse will start the WV State Police in January. The Clarksburg Police Department responded to 1,766 calls for service in December. And in December, Detective Richard White and Detective Sergeant Kevin Collins cleared with arrest break-in and enterings to Clarksburg Veterinarian Office, 2 break-ins to the WV Army National Guard building. Public Works, they installed a number of sanitary sewer on Main. Maintenance to lift stations, they responded to 12 sewer calls and they cambered a number of lines. They secured some vacant properties as well. They picked up 4,900 pounds of yard waste and processed all that yard waste. And the annual report collected 14,500 $500 through collection and sales. The Robinson Grand, giving an update on their facility. They have 3 full-time employees, 18 part-time, and 135 events over the year. That facility is doing very, very well, and they're planning for bigger and better events in 2024. The skimmer arm on final number 1 has dropped. They are currently draining the tank and preparing to repair the arm and get it back into service. And skater control is currently out on our main gate. They're supposed to be out, a company's supposed to be out this week to take a look at that. And a reminder to the public, please do not flush baby wipes or flushable wipes down the drain. They do not dissolve and could cause blockages in the sewer line as well as damage to the pumps.
No unfinished business, new business. Consideration of first reading of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg providing for the abandonment of an unopened and unimproved alley adjacent to property owned by George Isaac Brown and Nancy D. Frank Brown in the city of Clarksburg, Clark District, Harrison County, West Virginia, shown in the petition for said abandonment on file in the city clerk's office, providing for findings of fact in connection with said abandonment, and authorizing the execution of the proper quitclaim deed reserving therefrom utility right-of-ways.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of first reading of an ordinance of the city of Clarksburg to renew cable franchise with Spectrum Mid-America LLC.
So,
Second.
We have a motion.
Discussion, please. Go ahead, Mark.
I was just wondering, Madam City Manager, could you give us a little breakdown of exactly what this is?
So there was a 10-year agreement, now it's a 15-year. This one has changed, so there is a couple of changes I wanted to make council aware of. This one is a 15-year agreement. Both contracts pay 5% of gross proceeds. Both require road easements to be put back as they were. So the only real material change is the 5 years. I verified it with the lawyer. He has no issues that he wants to make council aware of re-signing the contract.
I guess my only question, I know the contract mentioned it was non-exclusive. I'm guessing, I'm not an attorney, I don't claim ever to be one, but would this prevent any other cable business from coming in and starting their own brand, or, okay, that's the question I had. I just, didn't know if it was exclusively to, obviously it said non-exclusive, but, just wanted to make sure.
Confirm that as well.
I had a question too. Does this require to be bidded out to other?
Historically, no, this is how it's been done because it's non-exclusive.
Okay.
So there is opportunity for others to come into the city.
So has others come?
Well, I had a call passed on to me today that I have to follow up on as well.
Okay.
But as new organizations want to come in, the process would be they would come to city manager's office or the engineer and code and talk about what they want to do in the city, and then we'd look at another contract for them.
Anyone else? We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Consideration of a resolution of City Council of the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia, authorizing the execution of a grant proposal through the Land and Water Conservation Fund and designating not more than $275,000 of ARPA funds for the proposed splash pad.
I have a point of parliamentary inquiry. I'm curious, and I talked to you about this today, Tiffany, is the last meeting we tabled this item. Do we have to pick it up from the table? Is it?
You do, and Annette and I verified that it can be any member of council to do that. But it has to be motioned and seconded and voted on to bring it back for discussion or consideration.
I'll move, we pick it up from the table.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries.
And now you need a mover and
So
seconder.
I move we consider the resolution for City Council of the City of Clarksburg, West Virginia, authorizing the execution of a grant proposal through the Land and Water Conservation Fund designating not more than $275,000 of ARPA funds for the proposed splash pad.
Second.
We have a motion and a second.
Discussion.
Okay, on this resolution, just to be clear, this isn't the authorization to actually spend funds. This is just the authorization for the proposal to write the grant?
Yes.
Okay.
You saying to write the grant or to submit
Or
the
to,
grant?
to,
Sign off on the
So
grant.
once the grant's awarded.
To apply for it.
Okay, so if we receive the grant, to follow up on his question, then we will move forward with the project.
To expend the funds, it still has to go for council approval.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then my question would be, are we authorized to use ARPA fundings for this project since it's a federal, it'll be additional federal funds coming in? So are they allowing us to use their federal money to match, as a match to the federal funds?
When I had finance check, the answer was yes.
Okay.
I had a question. So is the plan, is the plan still to, is it the same plan as it was before? Like, if we received a grant, is the cost for the project the same as it was when we brought this here 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Okay, so if we're approved for the grant, okay, does that mean that we have to expend those funds and build a splash pad in the area that was discussed before?
Yes.
So that would be Clarksburg Park, another fort.
Yes.
Okay, well, I have a problem with that, so no, I'll be voting no on that then.
Ms. Wright, you have a comment? Mr. Vice Mayor? Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
No.
Martin Howe,
No.
Will Hyman,
Aye.
Mark Jackson,
Aye.
Wayne Worth,
No.
Patty Wright,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ripple,
Aye.
Mayor Matheson.
No.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
Council comments?
Let's put Will on the, Councilman Hyman on the block first. He acts like he's anxious.
You know me all too well, Mayor. I hope everybody had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year. I know I did. It was very relaxing. I think Mr. Lane hit it right on the head when he said it was bittersweet that we received these funds for the opioid settlement. It's sad to realize that, we can celebrate, these funds and this check, and that's on the graves of probably tens of thousands of West Virginians. So I think we need to be cognizant of the fact that this money needs to be spent wisely and used to prevent and, teach and, work on recovery for the city of Clarksburg. I think we can do that. I think we'll do a pretty good job at that. And, I'm looking forward to sitting down with Mr. Jackson and everybody else on this committee that he's proposed, and I hope we can get that going. And, we can all sit down and break bread and talk about, how we can make this recovery happen. So, in regards to the splash pad, we've talked about it and we've talked about it and, I'm hoping that we can work together with other communities and so it's not such a burden on the city of Clarksburg, and I think we will. And, I wish it could be in every community in the city of Clarksburg, but, looking at all the proposed ideas and what we've talked about, I think, the Clarksburg City Park is it's hard for me to say. It's probably the best spot for it, and like I said, I'd like to see one in every community. I'd like to see one, so kids in every community can go and have access to it, because I know it's going to be difficult for some of our underprivileged members of our community to make it over to the city park in Leonard Fort. But I know we'll find a way, and I know people will enjoy it, and I know it'll be a resource for families and kids for many years to come, as long as it works out and the grant process goes smoothly. So, other than that, we'll do it again in a few weeks. Thanks.
Councilman Jackson?
I would like to thank everyone for being here this evening. The opioid grant money is, it's a big shot in the arm, but like, like it's already been said, it's bittersweet. Our county at one point in time was the #1 county in the country in drug overdose deaths. So, it's not like this is something that, we can jump up and down about. This is something that we need, and we need to make sure that we do use these monies wisely. Recovery, prevention, and we need to make sure that we take care of the individuals who are on the front lines for us and with us every single day. Our police department, our fire department, we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing so that when this problem resurfaces, and it will resurface again, because over the years, I can go back and count. We've had crack cocaine, we've had bath salts, cocaine, heroin, you name it, we've had it. And we need to make sure that we're prepared, so whenever it comes up again, we're there to take care of that problem. We're able to handle that. So I would just like to, say thank you, everyone, and welcome to 2024. And I would also like to put a motion out to all of the counselors that what I would like to offer is that we, for our next work session, we plan or at least start to put on the agenda a strategic planning meeting so that we can actually start to focus on the direction that we're going here in the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Howe?
Yeah, again, I agree with both of your sentiments on the opioid money, and I think I started back in 17, 18. We secured him to come in and help us. And Ned, I appreciate you continuing to work with him over the years and giving him the support he needed and the information. So greatly appreciate that. Again, Happy New Year to everybody here. Again, I'll agree with Will on the splash pad. With his sentiment on that as well, where it's going. But hope we can continue to work. There's other locations I would like to see him at as well. There's other spots I think even in the downtown area that would be be a great asset to the city if we had it downtown, to where it's centrally located, could be utilized by all citizens, and especially the children and the underprivileged to be able to get to it. So maybe that's something we can work with in the future, Doug, to get that. But again, Happy New Year. Thanks for coming. Appreciate everybody coming out.
Thank you, Mr. Howe. Mr. Ward?
Oh, okay. I didn't want to start talking before you called on me, so. Anyhow,
Since when?
I don't know, you looked at me, I didn't want to start talking when you wanted Jerry or Hattie to talk, so.
Well, Jerry's getting fined $200 for being late again, so he's up to 400, so.
Anyhow, this is pretty big, this opioid settlement money. Not only our community, but our state has, I think, probably endured the brunt, of the opioid crisis, here in this country. And especially southern West Virginia, places like Mingo, Logan counties, that, for a while there were pharmacies there that were giving out more opioids than there were people. So this is a big game changer here. I will say this though, Councilman Jackson, I am going to call that work session, and not only on, our strategic plan as a council, but on trying to start your health and wellness committee, because there's going to be a lot of folks that are going to be developing submitting RFPs to us. We're talking about organizations in the community that are already, working in the front lines. Now, I would imagine that, some of this money too is going to be, used for our first responders, and also, we could even use it, to help our police department. Because when you fight this opioid crisis, you're not only fighting it from the demand side, but you're also fighting it from the supply side too. And we have to make sure we have a good balance of that. But, with that said, I believe that this is where we really need to start that health and wellness committee. We got to have people up here, within that committee. So when organizations are submitting RFPs to say, okay, we want a piece of that money because here's a service that we want to provide in the community, to help, mitigate this problem. We have to have people up here, that, that could look, at those RFPs and that will know, that will know a little bit about the industry, of how to mitigate some of this problem. So that will, I'll make a request here in a couple days for a future work session to strategize on that too. In regards to the splash pad, I'm not against having a splash pad. My problem is that we're gonna spend money, okay? To put a splash pad, to build a splash pad outside of our city. We always talk about that we want to revitalize our downtown and we want to revitalize our neighborhoods. But we want to put a splash pad in a neighborhood in Nutter Fort. I can't support that. I support a splash pad, but I do not support it in Nutter Fort. And it's just, I feel like we could have planned a little bit better on this, and I hope, I know this is just to apply for the grant, but I hope if we do get that grant, that we could work with the park board and work together to try to find another place for that. And I know once that money is allocated, if we were to find another place for that, the project cost may go up. Maybe it might not go up. But at the same time, I think, I'm sorry, but I think we're just doing a disservice to our citizens by using Clarksburg money to build a splash pad, in Nutter Fort when we desperately need to revitalize our neighborhoods. Other than that, on a positive note, I do appreciate the fire department this time of the year. It's dry. There's a lot more fires in the wintertime, and to respond to all those calls, that's simply amazing. I appreciate everything that you all do. And then, and also our code enforcement. It was nice to see here in the city manager's report that all the condemned structures have been checked. And I know our police department does a really good job, especially at night shift, making sure there's people not in those condemned structures, because we used to have a problem with people going in there and setting fire, especially this time of the year. And so I appreciate all our first responders on that and our code enforcement. And looking at the last thing, looking at the numbers for the Robinson Grand, we almost made $1 million from that this year. That's just simply amazing. And I tell you what, it's a jewel of Clarksburg, and it's definitely proven that. So, other than that, Happy New Year.
Done? Ms. Wright?
Yeah, I agree with everyone's comments about the opioid money. I think we do need to definitely be strategic in how we spend that money and how we utilize it. I'm really excited about the splash pad. I understand the controversy of it being in Nutter Fort, but there are hundreds of kids that live in Clarksburg that utilize that park for many different reasons, and not just children, but other citizens as well. And I think it's just going to be such an asset to the area in general. So I'm really excited about that. First Fridays tomorrow night. I encourage everyone to come out and support the downtown area with that. And just want to wish everyone a Happy New Year. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Mayor?
I want to apologize for being late. I was at basketball practice. I had to leave early, so
$200.
$200. I understand. I will pay that. Yeah, what everybody said about the opioid crisis. Everybody's known somebody. It's hit close to home to me. It seems like the opioid crisis has been since, my entire life. Starting in the 90s, really strong. The pain pills and those type of things. It was everywhere. So it will never be enough to recover from things that's lost in the past, but hopefully we can use that money well. And I know the community will be very involved in that process, and I'm glad we're going to, not just try to make the decisions ourselves, but involve the community, support our employees that respond to these type of crises. And Yeah, and obviously what they said about the Robinson Grand, that's great. Every time I look up in the sky, the lights are on. So there's so many events going on there. My son even said, he's like, they're on every night. And I'm like, they are. They really are on every single night. And I think we still have to do better taking advantage of that many people we bring downtown. I feel like we haven't done a good enough job keeping them downtown, giving more things to do and working with the downtown businesses and building a plan to keep them down here. And also I saw Paul's smile more than I've ever seen him smile when somebody said strategic plan. Paul had the biggest smile on his face, and I know that's he's excited about that work session, I'm sure. So that's all I have, and Happy New Year to everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. See something, say something, folks. You know, if you don't pick up the phone and dial 911, we can't help. Tomorrow's First Friday, the first Friday of the new year. I see there's a lot of venues like the Gorlux or the Gores having. So, you know, it might be a little chilly, but, you know, get out and get some fresh air and enjoy the first Friday. I hope everybody's holiday, Christmas and New Year's was good. I agree with Councilman Worth and Councilman Howell and Councilman Hyman on the splash pad, but it is what it is, so we'll move forward. We've been up here, 6 months, and I've got to say that I am proud of this council. We're getting stuff accomplished. There's no arguing, no fighting. Hats off to the city manager. She came in here and she rolled up her sleeves and went to work, and she can tell you that this woman is, she's here all the time. And I call and give her heck all the time. I tell her to go home. I mean, she's up here Thanksgiving Day working, so. The opioid check is huge. It's a great presentation for the city. And we were told that the next 2 checks will be larger than this one, but then after that, they taper down. So, you know, we get 13 of them coming, and that's a big shot in the arm for the city, and hopefully we can get all this stuff cleaned up, and hats off to our fire department, hats off to our police department. Everybody have a good weekend and stay warm. We're supposed to get supposedly a couple inches of snow, but let's hope not, and everybody have a good weekend.
Move to adjourn.
I have a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Yep.
All in favor? All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.